let's talk about just a few more things here. I do not want to necessarily overplay my hand on this drawing. I might keep my drawing a little empty because I might come back and draw on top of this skull and put in all of the muscles. Okay, and I think that would be really informative for you. It wouldn't necessarily make for a pretty drawing, but in terms of like an educational drawing, I think it would really work. So just when I step back, I really noticed, that he's really got a tall face. He's got a long, thin face, and so the skull was a little bit more round and short, and he's tall and long. So most of the rest of the steps for me would just be you can see I just like adjusted this up. Okay, and then again, he's like looking down slightly, and I do believe I photographed the skull at its eye level, and the skull was just kind of looking straight ahead. So the other optical illusion here, and I'm going to get into the neck, not on this tutorial because I don't want to put too much stuff in one tutorial, is the neck shadow is really making for an even longer face because the chin just blends right into this shadow that the neck has on its front plane. Okay, so that is what I think about when I'm drawing a portrait. I really do think about the basics. I mean, when I'm looking at this, I gotta admit, one of the big things that really helps me to get the head is I really cling on to the eye socket shadow shapes. And so if we kind of look at this shadow shape, and as we roll up, it's right about here. And once I learned the eye sockets, where the eye sockets really came in handy for me was when I would be doing an illustration and I had people in the background and they were really tiny heads, and I would try to draw these people in the background in the painting, and the head would maybe be like 1/4 of an inch high, or maybe even 3/4 of an inch high, and I'd be sitting there trying to draw it like an eye with a paintbrush. I'm like, this is crazy. There's got to be like a better way. So I studied some old masters' paintings, and you see what they do is they primarily paint eye sockets. Okay, so if you can just pull away from this, even the eye sockets, that is like huge, and that would add for like a real big step. I'm just putting in this like little nose over here. So the eye sockets are really important, and understand that your eyebrows fall right on those eye sockets. Individual tilts of like the individual bones, that's going to be determined upon the individual model. And so what I encourage you to do is, I'm going to put terms to all this, and I'll leave it for you on the website on this tutorial page, but I really do encourage you to get at one anatomy book, and every once in a while draw out of it, okay? And I've got like 4 anatomy books here in my studio, and I love anatomy, and I if it was up to me, I'd spend a little bit more time with the books. That always seems to go on like the back burner for me. But I think a little anatomy goes a long way, and that's a phrase that I say to my students in class all the time. So what I'm going to do this time around in my first year drawing class is I'm going to teach them anatomy early on. I'm not going to teach them anatomy late, because I want, like I said, a little anatomy goes a long way. And if they just understand some surface anatomy, oh my goodness, then they'll know where to put the line, and they'll know where to put all that convex and concave line that I talk about over and over again. All right, so let's leave it at that.